Oh my goodness, my dogs are starting in now. Hey you guys, welcome back to All Things Equilateral. I'm sorry I've been absent for the month of February. Life just got ahead of me, and you know, I'm going to try to film a few videos right here and kind of smash them into the end of February and pretend that, hey, I was active this whole entire month. So, having said that, I want to start off with what else but a book haul. Now, you guys might have noticed I've been kind of sort of good these last few months. I've been checking out a lot more books from the library. Sorry, there's like a hair in front of my face. The first 3 books that I checked out were the Wayward Children series. Now, you might, by Seanan McGuire, you might know the first one because it's really popular here on BookTube. It's Every Heart a Doorway. You guys, I love this book. It is weird and slightly disturbing and kind of the answer to a lot of things that I wondered about. As a huge fan of Narnia when I was a little girl, I always wondered what happened to the kids when they returned, and C.S. Lewis does give us glimpses of when they returned back to their world and kind of how time was different in Narnia, calculated differently, and eventually how they no longer need Narnia because they're grown up. He certainly says that flat out with Susan. Susan never goes back because she's too old, and she's too old to believe. Well, this book covers children who have had portal fantasy world experiences. So they've been dropped in, you know, wonderlands or dark lands. I mean, some of these places are truly disturbing, but they're all fantasy places that we've encountered, I think, as fantasy readers before. So what's cool about it is it takes place in a boarding school, which is set in our world, our current world, and the head of the boarding school is accepting of these children who have traveled to another world and have come back, and their families don't know what to do with them. They think they're psychotic, as you can imagine, if they talk about, you know, different stories about lands where the clouds are made of sugar and that kind of stuff. The book is really short. It's like 170, 180 pages, but it turns into a mystery like halfway through, and you're like, what just happened? I thought we were talking about these kids and them fitting into their worlds and into the real world and how they fit into the map of worlds everywhere, if that makes sense. If I sound really confused, it's because I sort of was when I finished this book. It's like there are these logic worlds, highly logic worlds, you know, nonsense worlds. The children work really hard to map where they've been and to see if there are links to the worlds that they visited. Does that help? There you go. But it turns into a mystery. And honestly, the mystery is pretty easy to figure out. And I'm not good at figuring out mysteries. I've read a lot, but I usually just kind of fall for the red herrings. This one is really easy to figure out. And yet, when the book ends, you kind of want more, and it's so good because there's another book out. In fact, there are 3. The 3rd one was just released. And this second book takes us into the backstory of 2 characters that we met. Jack and Jill, they're twins, I know, to fetch a pail of water. They play upon all of that rhyme and much more. They came from a very, very dark world. And this world is almost what I would call horror light, because that's about all I can read. It's like my threshold of dark and dreary and really awful. You get their backstory, so you kind of understand how they behaved in book 1 from this book. And then book 3, which has just been released, Beneath the Sugar Sky, becomes a quest where some of the children that we met in book 1 end up going on a quest, a very important quest. And you know what? If you read them all at once like I did, you will end up with a map of all the worlds in your head and a kind of cool understanding how possibly, you know, all of our fantasy worlds that we read as readers could be cataloged in a universe, if you will. The quest is really kind of cool. The ending is very true to stories like fairy tales, dark fairy tales like the Grimm ones that we've read as children and as adults. And I just love the series. You know what? It is a relief to read a book that's only 180 pages and is fantasy. So there's a challenge for all of you fantasy writers to shorten some of those books just a little bit. Seanan McGuire did a great job, and I highly recommend this series. Please do what I did and read them back to back to back. Now, it's supposed to be a book haul, right? Okay, So I did a bit of a book review because why not? So the next book I got was Dear Martin by Nick Stone. And this book is about a boy who's in a prep school. His name is Justice McAllister. He's a big student of Dr. Martin Luther King. He finds himself in a situation where a police officer puts him into handcuffs. And this kind of gets his mind going. He ends up writing or starting a journal, writing letters to Dr. King to find out how Dr. King's teachings could apply to our crazy world now. And because our world is so politically charged right now, and I am, as a mother, so sad by the current situation, I am looking forward to seeing how this protagonist attempts to resolve or balance out the current situation. It is a book that's been much, much praised, and pretty much everyone I know who's read it has rated it 5 stars. Okay, on the other side of the spectrum of life, American Panda. This is by Gloria Chow, and I've heard that this is very much a rom-com kind of feel, and after reading some of the dark fantasy that I just read, I am, that's right, really looking forward to this, because rom-coms, right? It's gonna be so cute. It just looks adorable. It's about an overachieving girl who reconnects with her brother, so we'll see. This next book, I am truly, truly, truly looking forward to. Could I get one more truly? The Woman in the Window, A.J. Finn. This has been billed as Rear Window. And again, I'm not big on thrillers, but I love Rear Window. It's Hitchcock's movie. If you guys don't know about it, look it up. One of the best plots ever. This next book, Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed, is about an Indian girl who is, paired off with the right Muslim guy by her parents. She's, again, doing all the right things, but that's kind of not what her heart wants to do. And there is a horrific crime perpetuated hundreds of miles away, and her life is turned upside down. The community she's known since birth becomes unrecognizable. Neighbors and classmates alike are consumed with fear, bigotry, and hatred. Ultimately, Maya must find the strength within to determine where she truly belongs. And this is a post-9/11 story, so it's very, very timely. These next 3 books are just pure chick lit. Lord knows why I picked them up, but I did. And these I did buy. The Accidental Life of Jeffy Jefferson. She's a small town girl turned wild child. She has never known her real dad. Her dad, when her mom dies, it turns out her dad is a famous rock star. So she goes off to Los Angeles to live the LA lifestyle of paparazzi parties and hot guitar-wielding boys. Yeah, so, The next book is in the series. It's called All About the Hype, billed as the best Jessie Jefferson novel yet. And then again, she's, back in Los Angeles with a rock star dad, and she joins a band and begins seeing a bandmate in secret. Wink, wink. Is the spotlight too much for the wild child? We'll find out. The 3rd book in the series is, whoops, I Knew You Were Trouble. Now, you guys know there were big Swiftie fans, Taylor Swift, forever in my house, so this title alone was like a click buy. This is Jessie. After a whirlwind summer in LA with celebrity parties and a certain hot guitarist to keep her occupied, Jessie's finding it hard to work out who she is and who she wants to be. Oh, Jessie. And the world's press is closing in. This is like easily digested chick lit. Okay, this book is described as, I think this is Breakfast Club-ish. It's about Cliff Hubbard. He's a huge loser, literally. His nickname in Happy Valley High School is Neanderthal because he's so enormous, 6'6" and 250 pounds to be exact. He is a nobody at school, and life in his trailer park home has gone from bad to worse ever since his older brother's suicide. When no one Cliff hates more than the nauseatingly cool quarterback, Aaron Zimmerman. Then Aaron returns to school after a near-death experience with a bizarre claim. While he was unconscious, he saw God, who gave him a list of things to do to make Happy Valley High suck less. And God said there's only one person who can help, Neanderthal. This book comes out in May of this year, and it's by Disney Hyperion. And when I heard about it, I just had to, hold my hand up and say, come on, This sounds like such a book that I would love. Now, the next 3 books, on cover love alone, I swear I had to pick them up. Fragments of the Lost by Megan Miranda. Let's get the shiny cover. So the tagline is, what if everything you thought you knew about someone was a lie? And this is about a girl, Jessa Whitworth, who knew she didn't belong in her ex-boyfriend's Caleb's room, but she can't deny that she was everywhere in his photos, his neatly folded t-shirts, even in the dragonfly necklace in his jeans pocket, the one she gave him for safekeeping on that day. His mother asked her to pack up his things, even though she blames Jessa for the accident. How could she say no? And maybe, just maybe, it will help her work through the guilt she feels about their final moments together. So it's about a girl packing up her dead ex-boyfriend's belongings and finding out who he really is, and I think from there she finds out who she really was in his life and who she really is kind of as a person. This cover is just, I mean, does not look like thriller mystery. Yeah. So, murder mysteries. I love them. Maureen Johnson's Truly Devious, about a boarding school. Talk about a tagline, a place where learning is a game. After the school opened in 1936, the founder's wife and daughter were kidnapped. The only real clue was the mocking riddle listing methods of murder signed with a frightening pseudonym, Truly Devious. It became one of the greatest crimes of American history. Something like that could never happen again. Of course. ... Wow. So our protagonist, Stevie Bell, is in current time, and she decides to solve this cold case. It's Maureen Johnson. It's a mystery. The cover is gorgeous. Yeah, this should be good. And the last book is a book by an author that I've only read 1 book of hers, and that was the first book in Young Elites. But Batman by Marie Lu, Batman Nightwalker, is definitely a story that I want to read. I mean, who doesn't love Batman's backstory and Batman as a teenager? It should be interesting, right? Plus, you know, Warcross, Kat's reading Warcross right now, and she absolutely loves it. So, the last book is one that is upstairs, and as usual, I'm too lazy to go get it. It's The Life of the Girl Next Door. And again, it sounds like it's a sweet contemporary. My dog, don't you love him? Anyhow, those are the books that I either bought or received from the publisher, or mostly borrowed from the library. What books did you get in February? Leave me a note down below. Also, give me a thumbs up, won't you? And please click subscribe. I'm gonna get better at it, you know. Not gonna let life get in the way of BookTube.